The sun dipped low over the jagged peaks of the Arizona
I've got you.
territory,
Hold on.
casting long shadows that twisted like serpents across the parched earth. But it wasn't the dying light that sent a chill through the air, it was the scream that pierced the silence, a woman's cry echoing from the canyon below, raw and desperate, like the wail of a soul being torn from its body. Jake Harlan reined in his horse, his hand instinctively dropping to the Colt at his hip. He'd been riding solo for weeks, chasing ghosts from his past, but this sound, it wasn't natural. It was the kind of scream that promised blood and betrayal, the kind that hooked a man's curiosity and dragged him straight into hell. Down in the narrow gorge, dust swirled like a devil's breath. Jake dismounted, his boots crunching on gravel as he crept forward, heart pounding harder than a war drum. There she was, bound to a stake amid a circle of smoldering fires, her dark hair whipping in the wind like raven wings. An Apache woman, no doubt, her buckskin dress torn and bloodied. Surrounding her were 5 men, outlaws by the look of their scarred faces and rusted badges pinned mockingly to their vests. One held a branding iron, glowing red-hot, pressing it close to her skin. "Tell us where the gold is, squaw," he snarled, "or we'll carve it out of you piece by piece." Jake's blood boiled. He'd seen enough cruelty in his days, lost his family to raiders back in Texas, but this was pure evil, the kind that stained the soul. Without a word, he drew his revolver, the click of the hammer echoing like thunder. The outlaws spun, but Jake was faster. Bang! The first shot took the leader between the eyes, his body crumpling like a sack of flour. Chaos erupted, bullets whizzed past Jake's ear, one grazing his shoulder, hot pain searing through him. He dove behind a boulder, firing back blindly. Another outlaw fell, clutching his gut, screaming curses that faded into gurgles. The woman, her eyes wide with a mix of terror and fire, wrenched at her bonds, but they held fast. "Behind you," she shouted, her voice cutting through the gunfire like a knife. Jake whirled, just in time to see a 6th man emerging from the shadows, knife raised. He fired, the bullet shattering the attacker's knee. The man howled, collapsing, but not before hurling the blade. It embedded in Jake's thigh with a sickening thud. Pain exploded, but adrenaline surged. Jake charged, tackling the last 2 outlaws in a frenzy of fists and fury. One's neck snapped under his boot, the other begged for mercy before Jake's final shot silenced him forever. Panting, blood soaking his pants, Jake staggered to the woman. He cut her free with his own knife, his hands trembling not from fear, but from the intensity of her gaze. Up close, she was breathtaking, an Apache beauty with eyes like polished obsidian, skin bronzed by the sun, and a spirit that burned brighter than the fires around them. "Why?" she whispered, her voice husky, laced with suspicion. "You're a white man. Why risk your life for me?" Jake winced as he pulled the knife from his leg, tying a bandana around the wound. "Ain't about color, ma'am. It's about right and wrong. Name's Jake Harlan. And you?" "Naomi," she said, standing tall despite the bruises blooming on her arms. "Of the Chiricahua Apache. Those men, they ambushed my scouting party, killed my brothers. They think we guard some ancient gold in these hills." As night fell, they shared a fire in a hidden cave, the flames dancing shadows on the walls. Naomi tended his wounds with herbs from her pouch, her touch gentle yet firm, sending sparks through him he hadn't felt since his wife died years ago. "You're no ordinary cowboy," she observed, her fingers tracing the scar on his cheek. "What haunts you?" Jake stared into the fire, the memories flooding back like a flash flood. Lost everything to outlaws like them. Wife, kid, gone in a night of smoke and screams. Been wandering ever since, looking for redemption or revenge, whichever comes first. His voice cracked, revealing the vulnerability beneath his rugged exterior. Naomi nodded, her own pain mirroring his. "My people are hunted, driven from our lands. But I fight back. That gold they seek, it's a legend, but it hides a greater secret, a map to sacred waters that could save my tribe from drought." Her eyes locked on his, and in that moment, something ignited, a connection deeper than words, suspensive like the calm before a storm. Days blurred into a whirlwind of pursuit and passion. They rode together through canyons riddled with danger, evading bounty hunters drawn by the outlaws' deaths. Jake taught her to handle his 6-shooter, she showed him Apache ways to track and survive. One moonlit night, under a blanket of stars, their lips met in a kiss that tasted of forbidden fire. "This can't last," Naomi murmured against his chest. Our worlds collide like thunderheads. But trouble brewed. Whispers in dusty towns spoke of a ruthless sheriff, Harlan's own brother turned bad, Ezekiel, who'd faked his death and now led a gang hunting Apache relics for profit. Jake dismissed it as rumor, but the suspense gnawed at him. They pressed on to the hidden valley where the map led, a place of ancient ruins shrouded in mist. As they approached, arrows whistled from the cliffs, Apache warriors, Naomi's kin, mistaking Jake for an enemy. "Stop!" she cried, but it was too late. A shaft pierced Jake's arm, and he fell from his horse, vision blurring. Naomi stood between him and her people, pleading in their tongue. The chief, her uncle, relented, but his eyes held distrust. "This white man brings death," he warned. In the village, tension simmered. Jake recovered in a wickiup, Naomi by his side, their love deepening amid stolen glances and whispered promises. But one night, a shocking betrayal unfolded. Ezekiel appeared at the village edge, not as foe, but ally. No, worse. He rode in with a posse, guns blazing, but Naomi, she slipped away in the chaos, meeting him in secret. Jake, awakening to gunfire, grabbed his rifle and fought alongside the Apaches. Bodies fell, the air thick with gunpowder and blood. He cornered Ezekiel in a ravine, the brothers facing off like ghosts from the past. "You alive? After all these years?" Jake growled. Ezekiel laughed, a cold, shocking sound. "Faked it to start fresh. And now, with that squaw's help, I'll have the gold." His words hit like a bullet, Naomi. Betraying him. The fight was brutal, fists and knives in the dirt. Jake overpowered his brother, but hesitated at the kill. Ezekiel's gun flashed. Bang. Pain ripped through Jake's side. As Ezekiel fled, Naomi appeared, her face pale. "Jake, no." He collapsed, blood pooling. "You, with him," he gasped, the suspense of her answer hanging like a noose. Tears streamed down her face. "I had to. He threatened my people, said he'd burn the village unless I led him here. But I never meant for this." She pressed herbs to his wound, her hands shaking. "I love you, Jake. Truly." Recovery was slow, but their bond mended, forged stronger in the fire of doubt. Together, they tracked Ezekiel to an abandoned mine, the true site of the gold. Not metal, but a vein of pure water, lifeblood for the drought-stricken land. The entrance boomed with echoes of pickaxes, Ezekiel's men dug greedily. Sneaking in, Jake and Naomi moved like shadows. But a trap sprung, dynamite fuses hissed, the mine collapsing in a roar of dust and debris. Jake shoved Naomi clear, but rocks pinned him. "Go," he yelled as the ceiling groaned. She refused, digging frantically. "Not without you." But Ezekiel emerged from the chaos, gun aimed at her back. "The water's mine now, squaw." Twist of fate, Jake, with his last strength, fired from the rubble. The shot missed Ezekiel but hit a support beam. The mine shuddered, a shocking cascade burying Ezekiel alive in a tomb of stone. Naomi pulled Jake free just as the entrance sealed, the water vein erupting in a geyser that flooded the valley below, saving her people. They escaped to the surface, battered but alive. Under the stars, Naomi confessed, "I thought I'd lost you forever." Jake pulled her close, his heart swelling. "You have my heart, Naomi. Always." But fate's cruel hook twisted deeper. Weeks later, as they rode toward a new life, Apache riders thundered up, her tribe, demanding her return. The chief's words were final, "You belong with us. The white world will destroy you." Naomi's eyes filled with agony. "Jake, I can't abandon them. The water saved us, but war looms. I must lead." He begged, "Come with me. We can fight together." She shook her head, a shocking resolve in her voice. "Our love was a dream, but reality calls. Goodbye, my cowboy." As she rode away, Jake's world shattered. He wandered alone, the pain worse than any bullet, his heart lost, not to death, but to the divide that no hero could bridge. Years passed, whispers of an Apache warrior queen echoing through saloons, but Jake never sought her. He became a legend, the cowboy who saved the beauty, only to lose everything in return. In the end, on a lonely trail, he faced his final shock. A lone rider approached, Naomi, older, scarred, but her eyes still burning. "The war's over," she said. "I came back for you." But as they embraced, a hidden sniper's bullet struck, remnants of Ezekiel's gang, seeking vengeance. Naomi fell into his arms, blood staining the dust. "No!" Jake roared, firing wildly into the hills. She gasped her last words, my heart, was always yours. And with that, she was gone, leaving Jake broken, his own heart shattered beyond repair. He buried her under the stars, riding into the sunset not as a hero, but a hollow man, forever haunted by the love that saved and destroyed him. The wind howled through the canyons, carrying echoes of screams and gunfire, a reminder that in the Old West, salvation came at a price no man could afford. Jake vanished into legend, a ghost chasing what he'd lost, the shocking truth buried with the woman who stole his soul.